your eyes for about 8 seconds?
No.
Oh, I'm not going to take your purse. Just, okay, if you don't want to, don't. But otherwise, I'm going to do something up here. But just close your eyes and it'll be a little surprise for you. All right? All right, you can open them if you close them. All right? Now, I'm just guessing. If you just opened your eyes, you looked at this, and you immediately figured out, I wonder why he did that. Why did he do that? Now, these people just walked in. May I ask you a question? Welcome. Do you notice these things right here?
Yes.
How do you suppose they got there?
You probably put them there.
Probably put them there. Here you go. 8 DVDs, of which we'd like to give you all a copy when you go tonight. 8 DVDs lined up in a row, and intuitively we go, boing, somebody put them there. We just know it. How do you know that God exists? First of all, ready for this one, you know it. You just know it. There is something inside of you that actually knows that God exists. I really don't have to prove it to you. The reason that you don't believe in God is that you actually suppress the obvious truth in unrighteousness. In other words, you squash the knowledge that God exists so you can live whatever way you want to. Because this is so obvious. A child would walk in here and realize somebody did this. Now, Psalm 19 says, the heavens declare the glory of God. Day after day they speak without saying a word. How do you know that God exists? Look at the creation. You know there's a creator. I could not convince you for my life that this building happened by itself. And this building is not as intricate as your eye, which has about 100 million little connective cells right behind the retina alone. The building was made by a builder. You've never met the architect, you've never met the builder, but you know there's a builder because there's a building. How do you know there's a creator? Because there is a creation. That does not answer the question, who is the creator? But you know that there is one. This demonstration proves it. All right.
I'd like to say one thing before I ask the question. Well, first of all, I don't know how any of that has to do with the historical evidence for the resurrection.
I didn't get to the resurrection. This was simply, how do you know God exists?
Okay, well, yeah.
Irrefutable proof that God exists is stuff, organized or otherwise.
I have some questions because I don't really see that as irrefutable proof, Todd.
All right.
I mean, firstly, you're looking at these DVDs on the ground, and you're saying there's order and complexity here. How could this order and complexity get here without an order, without a complexifier? And so basically you're saying, I don't know how it got here, ergo, magic. God did it. That's called the God of the gaps argument. Because you don't know how something happened, you say God did it. Thousands of years ago, we didn't know how the weather worked. It was Odin up in the clouds, or it was angels bowling. Then we learned about the Coriolis effect, weather. Just because you don't know how something happens, doesn't mean you can take your best guess and put it there. Secondly,
can I just respond to that real quick?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Let's go back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody brought some Bibles tonight. Okay? This is not God of the gaps. All right? This is not. This is logical. That's all. You look at this and you go, well, a publisher did this. You don't think this happened randomly. It's simple. It is so basic, a child gets it. If there is order, there must be an orderer. Let's camp on evolution for a minute, because that's kind of where we're at right now.
Sure, yeah.
Creation isn't God of the gaps, okay? If there is a gape anywhere, in my estimation, it's evolution. Where did the stuff come from? Where did the laws come from? By the way, you mentioned science. It was Christians who really started science, and every time you do an experiment on this campus, you are admitting God exists. Why? Because if God does not exist, there will never be a consistent outcome to any scientific experiment. Science, which means knowledge, predicated on the existence of God. The early scientists who would say, because God is orderly, we can go about examining the creation, and we will then figure out how God does it. We will think God's thoughts after him. And so it's simple. Science actually proves that God exists, because if there weren't a God, an objective truth giver, science would be worthless. None of this would happen consistently. All right, you want to jump in? You were first, young man.
Well, I mean, this is a little different from what I was going to say before. What you define as God is like the laws of physics and science. That's what you say. The whole, like, take a breath in, you try to, like, speak against God, you're using God against yourself or something. A lot of scientists kind of think like that. They call God, like, nature. That's what Einstein did. That's how they described it. Why do you think that Jesus, as a person, as a man, existed and was this God that you talk about? Because you're making this huge leap from laws of physics exist to Jesus, the Son of God.
Fair enough.
And that's kind of...
No, that's a great catch.
And please answer the question. Don't change it. Don't put more DVDs in the ground. That doesn't do anything.
I was only supporting the statement God exists. Or how's about this? A God, this proves a God exists.
Or does it prove that something exists?
I'll go with that. But it's something that's smarter, that's greater, that's higher.
Right on. They reorder matter. They don't create matter.
Right.
You can call them creators, but they're really...
See, you and I both have the same problem, right? This will kind of answer your question. We kind of have the same problem. Okay, we got a lot of stuff. Where did it come from?
You've never answered that question.
I have.
You have.
God spoke it into existence.
No,
it's your 624.
That is the basic.
Okay, that's my explanation. All right.
And science can't answer that question as to where it came from.
Okay. Right. Science can't answer the question. So I'm gonna try to rock your world even more. Where did the stuff come from? You don't know. Where did the laws come from? Why are they consistent? You don't know. Where did the energy come from? You don't know.
We do know.
Where did the space come from?
But we know where the energy and where the space came from.
Where did they come from?
This is, we're going into like deep physics, and I can't sit here and take all of it, so this is probably going to sound a little out there. But the basic idea that modern physicists use to explain where the Big Bang came from is that originally there was nothingness. And when you have nothingness, nothingness is inherently unstable.
No, nothing is nothing.
Nothing is nothing, but nothing is unstable.
No,
and
nothing,
through the
nothing can't be stable.
unstable,
It's not
let me finish.
All right.
Through the unstableness of this nothingness, an energy differentiation was created, and that Einstein E equals mc squared energy turns into matter. When we have a nuclear reaction that we generate much of our power off of, we're actually taking matter and we're converting it to energy. And that ball.
Where did E equals mc squared come from? Where did the space come from? Where did the time come from? I'll try to. It's basically this. Evolution says nothing created everything out of nothing, right?
No, that's astrophysics.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
That's astrophysics, man.
Tell me where I got it wrong. You say nothing became something, it blew up and became an organized everything.
Evolution. You're confusing evolution with astrophysics.
You can talk about cosmic evolution. We're talking about biological evolution or not. I don't think it is.
Let's keep the. Actually, let's just keep it kind of simple, okay? All right. You say that nothing became everything, and with a lot of energy, it became organized into what we see today. Is that fair?
I don't think I ever said that.
I mean, again,
You think that's fair?
we're trying to simplify. I'm actually going here.
I understand.
We're trying to
My
talk about
position
quantum physics.
is that an eternally existent being created everything out of nothing.
And that's
my
somehow
position.
better than the universe creating itself out of nothing?
Nothing can create anything out of anything.
But God just created something out of nothing when He made
That's
the
because
universe.
He has the power to do it.
So you said first we have the. Why can't the universe be the initial cause?
Because there is no universe. It's nothing. Nothing is nothing. See, sometimes we tend to think nothing is
But
something out
it's
there
nothing
in a box. Nothing is nothing.
And that's a question that
Rocks
scientists do get into.
It's nothing.
All right, we're kind of going around in circles here. Let's
Okay.
make a couple comments. All right, just trying to break it down here. Again, I've noticed several times you keep bringing up where did it happen? Where did it come from? Again, this is by definition God of the gaps. When you say
We both have a gap. Fair
okay,
enough.
fair enough, but I'm not saying I know what's beyond that gap, and
Well,
you
yes,
are,
you are.
and you can't do
You're
that.
at least pursuing that.
I'm pursuing it, but I'm saying
let's just
I don't have any compelling.
We both have
Can I
a
talk? Can I
position
finish
that's
this one
kind
point?
of.
Wait, can I finish this one point? Thanks, Todd. Okay, and again, the order and complexity, you're basically saying over and over, I don't know how this order and complexity arrived, ergo magic when God did it. I mean, you can dress up however you want, that's how you're doing it. I'm saying, I don't know how it got here, I'm working it out, I'm trying to figure it out, and but I'm not saying it did come from nothing. I'm not saying it came from God. All I'm saying is there's not enough evidence to make that conclusion. And then even when you get into, before the Big Bang, and you start talking about time and causality and existence and non-existence, if you're not sitting here with calculus formations, calculus formulas and calculus problems on the board, then you're simplifying things to the point of where it's impossible to really understand it. Okay, and that's all I'm saying. And so
Forgive me for simplifying, and I'm actually going to answer your question, all right? All right? Basically, my understanding is, for the folks here who don't believe in the existence of God, you believe nothing became everything. I believe that an eternally existent being created everything. Okay? That's where we are. Now, the question that you had, and it's a good one, how do I then jump to Jesus? All right. As I look at the creation, I'm making some assumptions about it. It's beautiful. I think this creator might be beautiful. It's intricate, he's smart. It's big, he's going to be huge. We communicate, does this God communicate? So now I'm going to take a look at all the communications of the people who come to your table and say, this is a transmission from God. And I'm going to take a look at all these books, the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, the Bible, and I'm going to see, is this a revealed word from God? And I am telling you, the only book that makes sense of everything is the Bible. Okay? It's axiomatic, it is self-proving. Just like I can prove to you that Barack Obama lives in the White House by going to the White House and looking into the window, we can look into the window of the Bible and say, is God revealed there? And the answer is yes.
I thought he lived in Canaan.
So,
the Tea Party.
Right? So I believe that the Bible reveals the best explanation why it's here, how we got here, how I deal with my conscience issue. Here's a question for you guys. Thanks for your patience, Mr. Sage. Here's my question. A little bit different. As an atheist, does your conscience ever bother you? Do you ever think to yourself, you know, in the secret recesses of my heart, something isn't sitting right here. I know that I have not lived the way that I should. The Bible answers that question. I don't think the Quran, I don't think the Bhagavad Gita does. I think the Bible answers the question. To that question and the reason why we are here, which was my preamble. God wants to cleanse your conscience.
Can I ask you a
He
small
wants
question?
to forgive you.
Just a yes or no question.
Yes.
Have you read the Quran before?
Sure. I was just reading it today, this afternoon, because I knew somebody like you would ask that question.